It's almost fall. We better get ready for falling for autumn. Hi everyone, I am Cristin, and if you are new to this channel and just joining in our group projects, welcome. We're happy to have you here. We love playtime. So we are going to be working on the Falling for Autumn quilt. It is time. So it's August and it is actually going to be fall like next month. So we need to get started on this. So there's a few things. If you're new, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I believe in the lower right hand corner, it's probably on this side, somewhere there's a subscribe button. Click that, click the little bell, and then you'll get notifications whenever there's a new video up. So the other thing is this is a group project. This isn't just Cristin talking Cristin. Oh, you can see Archer here. So I want you to share photos. So if you have not already, make sure to join our Cristin Creates group on Facebook. All right, that's how we make it a group project. That's how we get to see everybody working on their projects together. So whenever I put out a challenge and say, this is the block we're going to work on, here's how to do it, then I wait and see everyone to start posting their photos. So it is a group project. So make sure to put on your brave suit and join in the fun and post pictures. I know that some are just on YouTube and then you can't really join in that part of it. So if you're on Facebook, please join in the fun. All right, so we are going to start. Let me start by telling you about the stabilizers. If you haven't already watched the prep video, I highly recommend it. It goes over step by step all of the different fabrics and the different products that we use, and the batting. There's a batting guide, a specific cut guide for the batting, and some little notes of things that I recommend a little bit differently than what's in the book. So make sure to watch the prep video if you haven't already. For today's block, we are going to need our light mesh cutaway. This is what we will be using in our hoop on, I think, all of the blocks, but either way, make sure to have your light mesh cutaway. There's also a longer one, the 20-inch, and sometimes we will use that as well if we're doing extra blocks in a hoop, and that will be optional, and I'll tell you all about it when we get there. But you want light mesh cutaway. And by the way, all of these stabilizers are available from our sponsor. Our sponsor is Daylily Fabric Shop. They are sponsoring this entire group project for us, and they've given a great deal. All the information is underneath this video in the video notes with our coupon code and all the information, but stabilizers are included. So make sure, if you haven't already, stock up on your stabilizers. We'll use them throughout this project. So again, light mesh cutaway, that's the one that will go in the hoop. And then fusible backing. This is the one that we use on the back of almost all of our fabrics. All right, definitely our main background fabric. Some people choose to only do it on those, and that's up to you. I actually do it on almost all of my applique pieces, and I'll go over step by step which ones I recommend and which ones I don't. But fusible backing by Kimberbell, again, available from Daylily Fabric Shop. And then we need our batting. So we go through a lot of batting. So Kimberbell Project Batting, this is definitely the one I recommend. I used to use other brands and I swear by this one. So I highly recommend it. And again, it's available from Daylily Fabric Shop, our sponsor for this project. And then today we need wash away topping. All right, wash away topping. Yep, that one. It's a light blue one. It's going to go on the top because we're going to use Velveteen today. So whenever you use Velveteen or like a high pile thing like Minky, anything like that, you want wash away topping. All right, it's just a thin topping that will go over the top. So we do need that for today. All right, so wash away topping. All right, so let's start talking about the block today. So as far as the schedule of blocks, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to start out slow and easy, not scare anyone, but we'll start out just with one block, and this is a good one to start because it is a big one. And so I'm going to do two videos. I'm going to do this one, and then I'm also going to do one for the people that are using a 5x7 or a 6x10 hoop, and I'm going to talk to those that are using the 8x12 as well, because there are parts for this one block. This will be a really good one to start with. So generally I'm going to do one block. Sometimes, like I've already planned, that there will be 2 block days, maybe even more, but will take time. So as far as people falling back, I know that life gets in the way for all of us, believe me too, for sure. So there will be catch-up days. There will be days that are dedicated to everyone catching up. And then keep in mind that I'm still working on the Cuties, the Kimberbell Cuties table toppers, and I'll be doing those the last week of every month. So that whole week you'll be able to catch up on Falling for Autumn, or work on that in tandem with also doing the Cuties table toppers. So there will be time to catch up, and just make sure that you're sharing your photos so that I get an idea of where everybody's at, and try and plan it accordingly. All right. I have a little note here of things that I want to make sure and talk about. So don't forget, I said to subscribe for updates. I'm going to check that off. I talked about stabilizers, the schedule of blocks. We'll see how it goes. Archer's drinking water. Excuse that if you can hear that. Embroidery software. I'm going to bring you to, after we go over what we're going to do today, I'm going to bring you to the computer to show you the software that I'm going to use, just to give you a visual, just because this one is a really big block. And I'm going to show you that you can either use embroidery software. I use Brilliance Essentials, and you can use that to bring in your quilting design and your embroidery design together, or you can do that on your machine. All right, it is not required to use embroidery software. I think it's a lot easier because you can see it on your big monitor, and you can move things around really easily versus the little screen on your embroidery machine. That's my personal preference. So whatever works for you, but almost every video I will show you can do this if you choose, and I'll also tell you where you can go to bypass that information. All right, so that's embroidery software. I mentioned that 5x7 people, I am going to make a separate video, and I'm going to take the time to show you how to do the quilting in the hoop. So just so you know, I'm going to do that one time. I'm not doing it on every block. I don't have the time or resources to do that. But there is a PDF guide on the blocks that are the bigger blocks, and you need to follow that for the embroidery portion. I'm going to show you how to do the quilting portion one time, and then you should be able to run with it after that. But for the actual block itself, you'll need to go for that 5x7 PDF that is on the CD for Falling for Autumn. And catch-up days, I mentioned that there will be catch-up days. Don't worry, don't stress over falling behind. We all have stuff happen, like our machine needs to go into the shop. There will be time. Don't worry, we're not going to jam through this. All right, we're going to work on it together. And in the background, I'm going to be working on the Cuties table toppers. I'm also going to be finishing up our Oh So Delightful project. So there will be time. Don't worry. All right. The batting guide. Don't forget, I mentioned that in the prep video, I went over all of the batting and specific cuts. Some of them I suggest different cuts. So I will include the batting guide in this video when we get to the photo part. And share photos. Really important. Join that Cristin Creates group to share your photos so that we can say, woohoo, you're doing it. That's great. There will be some days that I will make minor adjustments to like personalize my quilt. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And that will be a way to learn a new skill possibly. That's completely optional. You can do it exactly how the book says to do it, and I will give you all of that information, but now and then I may say, hey, let's try this. All right, so that's where we'll really get to be able to see everybody's projects in the Facebook group in Cristin Creates. The prep video, don't forget to watch that. All right, and then I think we're ready to talk about today. So I have this box that I hold my entire packets for, and I don't have this exact box. I bought it at Target from years ago, but I found one on Amazon that is the exact same size. So if you need a box to hold all of your supplies, I will add a link here to the one that I found. A bunch of people have bought that one from Amazon. My link is an affiliate link. It gives me a tiny little kickback to help support our channel. So whenever possible, use my affiliate link. And like I said, it's a box. It's not the exact same one. It's a clear one, but that will hold all your supplies. And then the other thing is the packets. So if you haven't already, you want these packets. They make life so much easier to keep everything organized. I have them right now for OSD, for the Cuties, and for Falling for autumn. Some people have them from other projects too, and there you get a bunch. I think there's like 35 in the package, and I bought 2, so I have them everywhere, and I've got extras, so they're really helpful. I will add a link for the dry erase packets here, and like I said, you get like 35 in a packet. They come from Amazon. They're super quick, and I get a little kickback on that. All right, so if you made your packets after we did our prep video, grab your first one. All right, so mine looks like this. It is the big one. It's that pumpkin is the first one that we're going to work on. And this is a really good one to start with because it can show the different ways of doing the quilting for those with different hoop sizes. All right, so I have mine with I put blue tape on there, and I fold down the edge so that it can come off easily. And then I write the name of the block on it and the page number that it's on. So we're working on Velveteen Pumpkin Patch, and it's on page 11 for all the information. All right, so I'm just going to grab this and grab all of the parts out of here. All right, and I'm going to go to page 11 in our book so that I can tell you all the things. All right, so like I said, this is a big one. It's a really good one for us to start on. So I'm going to start with our main fabric. So our main fabric is a directional fabric. So I want to point that out. I mentioned it in the prep video that there is a guide in our book. All the information's on the prep video, but let me look real quick. It's on page 6 and 7. It shows you the fabric and how to cut it to make sure it's the right direction. And this is your quilt. If your lines are going the opposite way, that's totally fine, right? Your quilt your way, don't worry about it at all. But it does show in case you need to be able to get enough of the fabric cuts out of the fabric. So this one is the directional fabric, or one of the directional fabrics, and it's a big one. So whenever, I always say, make sure to back these with Fusible Stabilizer. You want your main fabric at least to be backed with Fusible Stabilizer, especially these big ones, because they're great at getting puckering. So you want to make sure to not get puckering on your beautiful quilt. All right, so back it with Fusible Stabilizer. Like I said, I'm using the Kimberbell project batting, or sorry, not the project batting, the Fusible backing, this one. All right, on the back of my fabric. All right, so on this one, this is the only one we're going to back. The other ones are Velveteen, and I'll show you those in just a minute, but we're not going to back those. So this is our main fabric, and we are going to start with this at 14.5 by 8.5. So it's this way, the long way, 14.5 by 8.5 for this large first block, okay? 14.5 by 8.5 backed with Fusible Stabilizer. That is our main fabric. And like I said, it's a directional fabric. All right, and then let's go over all of the pieces. So there are five different Velveteen fabrics, all right? And these came in that embellishment kit for Kimberbell. That's also from our sponsor, Daylily Fabric Shop. So all of these came in that embellishment kit, and there's different ones, different sizes, so I'm just going to go over each one. So the first one is Blush Velveteen for Pumpkin 1. So the pumpkins are numbered, but they're not actually put down in that direction, like they're not 1 through 5 and then they're going to stitch that way, but I'm going to list them out in that way since they're numbered. But follow the guide. I'm going to have photos of every single step of the project, and from there you'll be able to see which ones go where. All right, so the first one is Blush. So it's a very light, like mauvish color, almost very light though. And this one, Blush Velveteen for Pumpkin 1, we're going to start with this at 3.5 by 3.5. So all of them start bigger. We'll cut them down. These are going to be the applique pieces, so we'll cut them down. But even that main fabric, that big main fabric, we're going to cut this down at the end too. So just so you know, that's why we start it. It's always about 2 inches larger than the final cut size. So that will help us to center it and all of that, and it doesn't have to be exactly perfect because there is wiggle room on there. All right, so again, Pumpkin 1, Blush Velveteen in 3.5 by 3.5, and you don't want to back Velveteen, you want to leave it just as it is. All right, and we're going to put that topping on the top for extra stabilization on these. So 3.5 by 3.5 for Pumpkin 1, Blush Velveteen. And then number 2 is called Flax. So Flax Velveteen. So it is a tan colored, a light tan, just basically light tan. All right, think of like flaxseed, I guess, but I think flaxseed's a little darker. But anyway, tan, but it's called Flax. And this is for Pumpkin 2 Velveteen. And this one is 4x4. We're going to start with this one at 4x4. All right, and again, don't back it, leave it as is. This is Velveteen. All right, and can you see there's like all these little pieces? We'll have to clean that up when we get started, but it loves to get all the little pieces from each of the different velveteens. So this one is number 3. So Pumpkin 3 is Orange Spice Velveteen, and this one we're going to have at 3.5 by 3.5. All right, 3.5 by 3.5 for Pumpkin 3 Orange Spice, and again, don't back it with Fusible Stabilizer. Leave it as is. And then number 4 is Antique White. This one we definitely have to clean up. There's little pieces of orange and so forth. All right, so Antique White Velveteen for Pumpkin 4, and we're going to start with this one at 3x3. I think I didn't cut it. It looks like mine's a little bit bigger, and I think it just came like this, and I left it as is because we don't need it for anything else. So 3x3 for Antique White. This is for Pumpkin 4. And don't back it with anything. All right, and then the last one, number 5, is Slate Gray for Pumpkin 5. Isn't that pretty? Soft too. So I think there's a, no, it feels like it can go either way. Anyway, so I was thinking that there might be nap, is that what it's called? I'm not sure, where it can be softer one direction versus the other. But it feels like it's kind of soft either way. But you could feel it before you put it down on your applique piece to make sure that it's going the right direction. Anyway, Slate Gray Velveteen, this is for Pumpkin 5, and this one we want 4x4. All right, large one 4x4, and don't back it with Fusible Stabilizer. All right, those are all of the Velveteen pieces, and then we have Flexifoam. So we're going to have Flexifoam for this, all my little Velveteen. All right, for the Flexifoam, this one we're going to have at 9.5 by 5. 9.5 by 5 for the Flexifoam, okay? I think we put this down before everything else except for that main fabric, but like I said, I will show you everything in step by step, don't worry. 9.5 by 5 for the Flexifoam, and then don't forget I said that we need wash away topping for this one. All right, and it says that we need a piece that's 10.5 by 6. That's nice. I didn't know that they'll give us the size on that. So 10.5 by 6 of the wash away topping. I'm just gonna put it down over the top and cut it accordingly, but 10.5 by 6 will give you plenty of room. All right, and then fusible backing on that main fabric. When we load our quilting design, so actually let's talk about the batting. Whenever we do our quilting, we use batting. It's part of the process of quilting in the hoop. So when we quilt in the hoop, for all of those newbies that are just starting this as their first project, there's 5 steps to the quilting. All right, the first one is the placement of the batting. So a placement stitch of where we're going to put the batting. And then we put down our batting, and number 2 is the tack down stitch of the batting. And then number 3 is the placement stitch for that main fabric, that big main fabric, placement stitch, and then we'll put that main fabric down, and then we'll tack it down as number 4. The 4th part of the quilting is the tack down stitch. And then the 5th part is the actual quilting design. All right, so sometimes you might have to move the quilting design or move the embroidery to fit on the quilting design. We're not doing any of that today. It's going to be centered, and when we do, or if we do, I'm not sure, I will tell you, but for today it's going to be centered, so you won't even have to do anything. It will automatically come up in your machine that way. So you would load up the quilting design, it will be centered in your hoop, and then we will bring in the embroidery design, and that will be centered on top of the quilting design. All right, so that's all done. It will be centered in the hoop, and I will go over the thread colors and you can choose your own, of course, but I'm gonna share photos of everything that I choose of colors from our thread kit. I didn't bring that over, but there's a thread kit for Falling for Autumn. It's available from our sponsor, Daylily Fabric Shop. And so I'm going to use that on everything. So I will share photos of which colors that I'm using and put a little text on there saying everything. All right, so Our batting is going to be 13 by 7 because we're going to quilt this in the hoop. So our batting is 13 by 7, a big piece of batting. All right, 13 by 7. And like I said, this is part of the quilting design. So that first thing, the placement stitch for our batting, then we put our batting down and we tack it down, and then we will trim it from there. All right, so batting 13 by 7 for our block today. All right. And one thing I want to say is if you have a smaller hoop, 5 by 7, 6 by 10, even an 8 by 12, I'm going to make a separate tutorial for those. But I'll tell you right now, a 5 by 7 hoop, you'll need to do 3 hoopings of a 4 by 6 quilting design to be able to get the quilting. And then 6 by 10, probably the same thing. You probably would want to do the 3 hoopings. If you have an 8 by 12, so let me tell you, our quilting design, let me just tell you this. So our quilting design for today, for this pumpkin block, the Velveteen pumpkin patch block, our quilting design is Weather 4. This is in the bundle. There is a bundle of the quilting designs, and I'm going to use those for all of this project, and I'll always tell you which ones, but there's a bundle, and there's a link under this video that supports our sponsor. So our sponsor is Daylily Fabric Shop. There's a link under this video that says if you're going to purchase the quilting designs, please use this affiliate link. You click on that and it takes you to Kimberbell. And then from there, you would just type in Falling for Autumn and you'll find the bundle very easily. All right, so that bundle, we're going to use Weather 4 today. And like I said, it's in that bundle. Weather 4, and we're using a 6 by 12 quilting design in vertical. 6 by 12 vertical Weather 4. All right, so that's a big quilting design. So you might think with a 6 by 12, oh, I can just use my 8 by 12 hoop. Well, keep in mind, and I will show you this, but the 8 by 12 hoop is actually not going to fit a 6 by 12 quilting design because that last step, the third and the fourth steps of the quilting design, the placement and tack down of the main fabric, those are going to be a 1/2 inch bigger so that we have that 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? So that means that this design is actually 6.5 by 12.5, and it's not going to fit in your 8 by 12 hoop. You can take out those steps 3 and 4, and I'll go over more of that in the video for those using a smaller hoop, but you might think with an 8 by 12 it's not really a smaller hoop, but for this quilting design, it won't fit. You can take out steps 3 and 4 and just tape down your main fabric. That will work fine. And then you still may have to shrink it just a tiny bit because like I know the brother hoop is 7.87 by something. It's not actually 8 by 12. So even then you may have to shrink it just a bit, and that's totally fine. It's not going to bother anything. All right, so we have all of our fabrics. We have our batting. We have the velveteen that we're not going to stabilize, and our wash away topping. We have the quilting design that we are going to center in the hoop. And like I said, I'm going to bring you over to the computer just to show you what that's going to look like. And you absolutely can do that on your embroidery machine. That's fine. We are going to also use, so there's a couple other things, important things, and I'll show you when we get there too. But the last step, we're not going to stitch that last step. I'm going to tell you to just bypass it. It's just for placement purposes. So I will tell you when we get there, don't stitch this last step. And then we are going to use our pop rulers. So if you haven't invested in the pop rulers, I highly recommend it. Our sponsor does have these available, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to use 2 of the pop rulers, and we're going to cut on the outer edge since our block is such a big one. So I'm going to show you how to do that. That won't be a problem, but it does make it a lot easier if you've got the pop rollers, in my opinion. All right, so if you haven't invested in those, I recommend it. And I have this great, I think the seller that I bought them from has sold out of them, but I have this little wood block that fits them perfectly. I love that. So I'll try and find a replacement because I'm pretty sure the one that I bought them from, they sold out. But I will try and find a replacement for the wood block that holds all of the orange pop rollers and add a link for you from Amazon if I'm able to find that. So because that works really great to have them all held together like that. So outer edge we're going to cut on, and that's it. So we're only going to work on that one block today. Don't forget to share photos in the group, in the Cristin Creates group on Facebook, so that I know when everybody is all caught up with today's challenge. and then we'll know to proceed with more. So are you ready? Are you excited? Oh my gosh, it's a lot of information, right? The first one is always a lot, but I'm pretty excited. We're gonna have a great time, I promise, and don't stress over it. We'll do it step by step together, group project. Hi everyone, I'm at my computer now and I just want to give you a visual of what it's like to include the quilting design and the embroidery design centered together. So you can do this on your embroidery software if you prefer, or you can do this on your embroidery machine, either way. If you are in the market for embroidery software, please use my affiliate link. It is www.embrilliance.com/jam affiliates/Cristin creates, and you just go there. It puts a little cookie on your computer saying that you're supporting Cristin creates, and it is in cluck right now. So here's Embrilliance. You can go to Essentials right here. That's what I use, Embrilliance Essentials, or the store button will take you there as well. Either way, this is the software that I use that I recommend, and I'm going to show you how to use it throughout this project if you choose, or you can do it on your embroidery machine, whatever works for you. All right, so it is on sale right now until August 9th. So you would just add it to your cart, and it's a direct download. You can use it on all of your computers. You get all of the updates for that same fee. It's a great program. So I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to open up my Embrilliance Essentials, and mine opens up with a pink screen. For those that are new to Embrilliance Essentials, you probably have either a white or a yellow screen. I don't recall what it started with, but in this preferences folder, you can change your background color, and I changed mine to pink. All right, so it says that I'm on my 8x12 hoop. I'm going to use a bigger hoop, but I'm going to start with this to give you a visual. All right, so all I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to bring in the quilting design. The first thing is the quilting. So I'm going to go to here, this Merge Stitch File button, click on that, and then it's asking where is this design that you want me to open. So I'm going to open up my Falling for Autumn. I have it on my desktop, and then my quilting bundle. And we're looking for the Weather 4 design in the quilting bundle, and embroidery files, and then block by block is the technique we're using. So you always want to use the block by block for this. If you are using a smaller hoop and you have the clear blue tiles, you can use the clear blue tiles if you prefer, but for the purpose of the tutorial, I will always be doing the block by block technique. All right, so and then I use Pez for my machine, and it will start to populate with all the different designs. So I'm going to bring in the full design. So it is a 6x12 vertical of Weather 4. So they're in numerical order. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here, and there's the 6x12 Weather 4. There's a horizontal and a vertical, and we want the vertical one. So 6x12 vertical Weather 4. So I'm going to double click on that. It goes to the center, and you can see that this turned red down here. That's saying that it is too large for my hoop. If I zoom out, you can see that it goes over those hoop lines. And that's why I'm going to use a 9x14 hoop. But let me show you. So right now, you can see right here, I'm on my 8x12 hoop, and you can see that the design is 6.5 by 12.5. And if you run through these, I was telling you that there's the 5 steps. I'm going to just zoom in here. So this first one, it tells you it's 6x12. And then number 2 is also 6x12. That's the placement and tack down for the batting. And then here's where it gets bigger. So on number 3, the placement for the main fabric, that's where it jumps to 6.5 by 12.5 for 3 and 4. And like I said, you can take those out. That is the placement and tack down of the main fabric. You could use tape to hold that in place, and you could take that out to make it smaller. All right, that's up to you. I'm going to just go to a bigger hoop, and I'm going to use my 9x14 hoop. So I'm going to go up here to, I'm going to click outside. I clicked outside so that nothing was selected, and I'm going to go to this preferences folder, and I'm going to choose my 9x14 hoop right there. And say okay, and then see the red went away because this fits in my hoop. I'm going to go up to this compass button and click on H so that it zooms to my hoop so that you can see how much room I have extra. So this fits really well in a 9x14 hoop. We'll need that bigger stabilizer. Remember I said there's a 20-inch stabilizer available from Daylily Fabric Shop at the discount price. That coupon code that is under the video will work for this larger stabilizer. All right, so that is the quilting design. We've already brought that in. Now we need to bring in that embroidery design. And when I say, all right, sorry about that. I hadn't even loaded my designs yet from the CD. So they're now loaded and saved on my desktop in my Falling for Autumn folder. So I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File and go back to that Falling for Autumn. And there is my embroidery files right there. Pez, I only saved the Pez. And there is the quilt. There's that 5x7. I was telling you that there are specific instructions for those using a 5x7 on the embroidery files. So let's see, I'm just going to click on the quilt. There we go. Then they populate. All right, and we're looking for that really big pumpkin patch file. So the pumpkin patch itself is probably, let me see, I think it should say, it's a 6x10 design, so it's just the quilting that you need to fit into your hoop if you have a smaller hoop. So 6x10, the pumpkin, 6x10 Velveteen pumpkin patch, there it is. So double click on that and it goes right to the center. We can check it to make sure. So you can see from these black squares that that is centered and the quilting design is also centered. Again, black squares in the center. All right, and I'm just clicking outside to be able to click on the different design. All right, and there's that placement stitch that is telling you that we will need to bypass, and you can see that that is there to be able to center it just right with the quilting design. That's the purpose of this step, and we will not stitch that. All right, so that is already all done. How easy was that? So you bring in the quilting design, bring in the embroidery design. We don't need to do any color sort or anything like that. And we can just, because we're only working on one block today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to utility send to Solaris because I have an XP1 and my machine, I can send it directly to my machine. From Embrilliance Essentials. If you don't have a Wi-Fi ready machine, you would just transfer it to a USB stick. In fact, I'll show you real quick how to do that because I get people that ask me that and I don't have my USB stick in there. Hold on. All right, so I want to make sure to save this. So I'm going to go to File, Save, Stitch File As, right here. File, Save, Stitch File As. If you said just save, then it's going to save over the first thing that you brought in, which was that quilting design. So a Save As means that it's a second item, so that you've got your original and now you have this one that is a Save As. So Save, Stitch File As, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring it to my file. So I've got Falling for Autumn, embroidery files, Pez, Falling for Autumn quilt, and I'm going to save it here. You can save it wherever you want, just on your desktop, whatever works for you. And I'm going to say Velveteen, if I spell it right, Velveteen pumpkin quilt is what I'm going to say, because then I know it's got the quilting with it. All right, and you could put in, I'm going to put in 9x14 so I remember what hoop size that I'm using. Whatever works for you, however you want to name it, I'm going to save that. And then when you put a USB stick into your computer, so I sent mine to the embroidery machine because I have a Wi-Fi machine. If you don't have a Wi-Fi ready machine, then you would put a USB stick into your computer and then that file, or the window would open up. All right, so here's that file. You can see it says USB drive. I'm going to click on that window and I'm going to say Control N to open another window. And then on this one, I'm going to navigate to where I have my file. So I'm going to go to my desktop and then my Falling for Autumn quilt. And then I'm going to open up my embroidery files where I saved it, and I have mine in Falling for Autumn quilt, and I have it as a 9x14 Velveteen pumpkin quilt. So that's the one I just saved. I'm going to say Control C to copy that. I want to keep it on my hard drive, but I also want it in this USB drive that I can bring over to my my embroidery machine. So I'm going to click on that window, this window over here that has my USB drive, and say Control V like victory to paste it. So you can see now I have it on my USB drive and I have it on my 9x14. I'm sorry, I have it on my my hard drive, which this is my desktop. All right, and then whenever you put a hard drive, USB drive into your computer, you want to exit it out safely. So the way to do that is down on your machine. You can't see this part, I don't think, but down on the bottom right hand of your monitor, you can see there's this little arrow, and if you click on that, and actually I can't see it because my head is in the way. But if you click on that, there's an add remove hardware, and you click on that to be able to take it out of your computer. Don't just pull your USB drive out of your computer. It will cause the USB drive to fail, and so you want to remove it safely. And it'll say add remove hardware safely, something like that. So click on that to be able to take it out. I can't do it right now because my head is in the way. But that's how to transfer it to your computer using Wi-Fi, or not computer, your embroidery machine Wi-Fi, or to transfer it to a USB drive by copying it so that you still have the saved file as well. All right, so that was easy. So we brought in the quilting design, brought in the embroidery design, and that design is all ready to go. So let's get started. I get a lot of people asking how to make a donation to Cristin Creates to help this YouTube channel. I will add a link on PayPal. That you can also use Venmo. Both of the links are underneath this video, and it's very appreciative. Very appreciated for sure. It really helps to offset the cost. There's a lot of costs involved with doing these tutorials, and all of the kickbacks from YouTube with violations and so on and so forth. A lot of time goes into these videos. So if you want to make a donation to this channel, I'm super appreciative. It's totally optional, of course. Thank you. All right, don't forget. So when we first announced this project, we did an announcement, and then we did a present day. So on present day, when Daylily Fabric Shop came to my house and brought supplies, and we did that whole fun video about present day unboxing, all of that. So I started my goal on that day. That was like June 26th, I think. And now the supplies have all come in, and hopefully you've all created a goal. I really, really like that the Cristin Creates team, we all create a goal for each project, and I love hearing about your goal. So my goal, like I said, it started back at the end of June, and I've worked it every day since. So I am super focused on this goal. I never create the, I always have lots of different goal ideas, and I don't think I've ever used this one before. This one is actually weight loss for me. That's what I'm working on for my goal. And it's a hard one for me because I'm on that cancer blocker pill, and so my body tries to just hold on to everything, and weight loss is difficult, right? And vulnerable to put it out there. No, so anyway, so I worked it really hard. And so I'm going to tell you, whenever I do a video, I'm going to tell you where I'm at, how I'm doing with my goal, and I want you to do the same, whatever your goal is. So like I said, mine was weight loss, and I started it way back at present day is when I started my goal, even though we had to take a break and work on the cuties and finish up Oh So Delightful and different projects, and we're finally starting. So I actually, I work really hard on it. I have not had sugar, I think it's like 36 or 37 days now. I had one day that I took off. My birthday was just a few days ago, and I actually had a caramel apple for my birthday. Other than that, I haven't had any sugar, any bad stuff, any junk food, like nothing in like 36 days or something like that. I don't remember exactly how many, but it's about that. So I'm really working it. I'm trying really hard, and I'm working out almost every day. I stop eating. So here's a big thing. Have you heard about, what do they call it? Intermittent fasting. So if you stop eating by a certain time, and then you don't eat again until the next day at a certain time. So like I stop eating by 9 p.m. every night, sometimes as early as 7 p.m., but always by 9 p.m. no matter what. Make sure to get my dinner in before 9 p.m. And then I don't eat again until I get up the next morning and take my dog for a walk and the whole bit. And so probably 9, maybe even 10 the next day. So 12 hours, at least 12 hours of intermittent fasting. And it really makes a difference. I've read a lot about it, and they say that it's really good for your body and really good to boost your metabolism and to work it and all of that. So I've been doing that, and it really has helped me. Something is helping. So definitely not eating sugar, working out a lot, and getting lots of walks in, and intermittent fasting. So as of this morning, I have lost exactly 10.0 pounds. 10 pounds. I'm really proud of that. So I want to hear how you're doing with your goal. Keep it up if you're working it. And if you didn't start back when you got your supplies, that's okay. Start now, right? Just be an inspiration. I want to hear about it. I want to hear how you're doing with your goal and what you're doing to work toward that goal. So like my workouts, I went and I hiked Table Rock this morning, which is this monster hill. I mean, it is painful. It's 900 feet of climbing in like 3 miles, 3.39 miles, something like that. It's a lot. Like you're just way uphill, really hard. Get your heart rate going super hard. So I've been working hard, and then I run on my treadmill. Last night I did a workout in Yosemite. It was pretty cool with this trainer, Hannah Edens, who just kicks your butt. Oh my gosh, she works you hard. And so I did this incline run up with her, and then I did a strength training. And by the way, if you haven't incorporated weight training into your workouts, that really helps push the scale. It really changes your body. So I've been working really hard on incorporating weight training in, and I'm like a wimp, right? I used to be strong. I'm not anymore, but so I'm doing what I can, and that's all we can ask, right? So tell me, how are you doing with your goal? I want to hear about it. And I always get questions about my shirt, so I will always include information. This one says, quilting with friends will keep you in stitches. It is a design from Designs by Juju. I will add a link underneath this video down at the very bottom. So I've shown you lots of times the information underneath this video, and at the very bottom it'll say a direct link of where you can get the shirt, so that, or the design. So the design is from Designs by Juju. The shirt is from Amazon, and it's one of my favorites. There's a lot of colors that it comes in, and it's just a really nice one for stitching on. So the shirt itself is from Amazon. If I have additional links, I have a very specific amount that I'm allowed to link to, but if I have one left, I'll put it up here. If not, it is underneath the video always. So every time that I do a video, if I'm wearing an embroidered shirt, I will give you that link information underneath. So this is a fun one from Designs by Juju, and it's perfect for starting our group project together.